Okay, so today we are going to go through the Osmo Mobile 6. By the way, this is not a sponsor, so I purchased this myself for 900 RMB, which is around just 120 US dollars. So if you want to see an honest review, this is one for you. We're going to test out the features, the functionalities, its limitations, and then we're going to go outside, do some test shots. And by the way, I do have the latest During Smooth 5S coming as well. So once I do have that, I will be doing a side-by-side comparison for you as well. So if you want to see that, feel free to follow. It should arrive this week as well. So fingers crossed, let's get into the review. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's all packed up. Now, the good thing about the DJI is basically you just twist and then unfold. Easy as that. Time saver, and I think that's a really good design. And by the way, if you just fold this back, it turns itself off. Now, DJI comes with one of these magnetic clamps, so all you have to do is put your phone on. Now make sure the camera is at the right side up. Put it somewhere in the middle so the weight distribution is fairly even on both sides, and all you have to do is snap it on like that. Double tap twice. There you go. You've got a portrait setup phone. Now double tap again and you have landscape mode. One thing I want to show you, the clamp is really well designed, okay? I think they put a lot of thought into this. So the little details here. See, there's a little gap in between the clamps. Now that actually elevates above the side buttons, so it doesn't actually press your volume or your lock button, which is great, right? While you're balancing your phone, there is enough gap in between the clamp and the actual phone itself. Little details like that I like. By the way, the magnet is really strong. Like, let me show you, right? If you just pull it straight from the face, it's really hard. If you pull it from the side, like on an angle, it's a lot easier. By the way, I still haven't showed you this. This is extendable. Now, when your phone is all activated and it's good to go, there is a little logo that pops up with a green icon. So I just want to show you right here. Can you see that? Okay. Now, there are 4 modes that you can access very quickly. So this is the all access pan, right? And this is just the pan follow, right? And this is the orbit mode. Basically, any direction you move, it's going to follow your direction, okay? And then we have the orbit mode. It's around 250 degrees of rotation. So look, as I turn around, there, right? 250 degrees, so not the 360, but yeah, it's more than enough. This trigger button here is your lock mode. Now, if I hold this button, it goes straight into lock mode. One thing I don't like about this is you have to constantly hold onto the trigger button. Sometimes when you shoot, you just want to have a lock mode. You just want to push forward or tilt left and right, but still make sure you're focused on your subject dead front. So constantly holding this kind of limits your movement. This is a common thing on DJI gimbals, not just for this one in particular. So once I have the jury model come in, I'll test it out and see if that's the same problem. Maybe you can fix it in the app. Now, speaking of the app, I think let's get into it because I think this is where this gimbal shines. Because I've set up my phone already for the first time, it's Bluetooth enabled. Let's have a look. You just turn it on like this and snap it on like so. There is a notification, tap, and bang, we're straight into the app. Everything's connected and I'm good to go. Let's look at some of the functions. Because I've connected to the software, I'm using the DJI app, you do get a few additional functions. For example, if you press this button now, you're able to switch between selfie mode. Can you see that? Selfie mode and back-facing camera, right? So press it again, and I'm using selfie mode. 2 taps, okay? That's the same with or without the app. 2 taps will get landscape or portrait mode. 3 taps, you're switching between, see that? Camera view and photo view. Now, because you have Bluetooth connected, I can press this record button. It will take a photo if I'm in photo mode, but if I'm in video mode, press button. So I am recording. There you go, just like that. Now press the button again, it stops recording. Now I'm going to go to the selfie mode, okay? Whoa, I think there is some beautification turned on. Oh, there it is. Now I'm going to turn that off. I can slip my face. Wow, let's slip my face. I think this is perfect for the girls who does TikTok. It does, quite natural. Smoothing. Whoa, turn it off. Yeah, I've aged a bit, but it's quite realistic. So I'm going to turn this off. By the way, if I tap this trigger button, it turns on active track. See? That's really intuitive, right? And tap it again, it turns off. Double tap, by the way, recenters, right? Tap it again, active control. Now the side trigger here, all I have to do is scroll. Now one thing to note, because this camera or this iPhone uses the wide angle, the normal camera and the telephoto, it's able to leverage these lenses. So if I'm on one right now, you can see this is the normal, right, main camera. As I go back into the wider view, see that? See the shift? Now I'm using the wide angle camera, okay, wide angle. All of this range from 0.5 to 1 is the wide angle. Okay, as you go into the 3%, it's going to, see that? Switch to the telephoto lens. Now you're getting a better quality, right? And I can see all of that goodness, right? By the way, if you haven't seen my RS2 and Weebill 2 reviews, go check them out. Really comprehensive. And if you press it again, now we're in focus mode. So I can focus. See that? So this is macro, like, wow. That's really close, right? Because the iPhone has macro. And if I leave it here, you can have some kind of depth of field, you know, happening. Now, let me go back to the selfie mode. I want to show you. As you go into the selfie mode, it automatically turns on active control. So that's pretty cool. Now, you can obviously turn it off, but there's also hand gesture as well. So let me show you. If I tap this, you can turn on hand gesture. Right? You can follow and shoot or shoot only. Basically what that means is, if I go hand gesture like this, it's going to follow me and then shoot. Now obviously there are other modes as well. If you can see, you can also, you know, set the rate. So the highest it goes is 4K, you know, 30 FPS. You can shoot panorama as well. Shoot. We've also got slow motion. What's dynamic zoom? So this is the vertigo zoom, so to say, right? So as you move in, the camera is going to zoom out, giving you that kind of warpy effect you see in cinemas. Other functions are pretty obvious. You know, there's time lapse, kind of cool, right? Hyperlapse is something I think most of you might want to use a lot. I think that's very cool. So as you move, you're shooting each frame at a time, and it's got a tutorial. You can follow it on. It's pretty cool. It's like a moving time lapse. Oh, by the way, active track, all you have to do for the main camera, just draw a circle, highlight it, and then you're good to go. So software-wise, I think DJI has always been very good at what they do. So not a problem there. So now we're going to go outside, test this out, see how many shots we can do. So I do have some foreground just to show you that I'm actually moving. Okay, just moving sideways. Wow, I really like this function of zooming in and zooming out. That's really cool. And let's go sideways to see how stable it is. It's not too bad, right? It's not too bad at all. Okay, it's shifting a little bit to the left because I'm not focused or not active tracking the subject. I am just panning to the right. So it's pretty good. I'm zoomed in just to really elaborate the vibration, if any, and the performance is better than I thought. Okay, so what you're seeing now is just me walking forward. I want to run a little bit just to show you. I can't actually see the screen, by the way, so everything is done. Just one hand and just running. How's that? So he seems to track further distance fairly well, but let's try its mobility. Limited in terms of tilt angle. The tilting angle is about 90 degrees roughly, and that's expected for a gimbal of this size. Now apart from tilting, rotation wise, you can see as we kind of lower the gimbal, it's going to automatically switch angles. So the rotation is about 180 degrees before the phone starts to flip itself around. I'm just going to walk forward while I take some selfie shots. So this is active track, so I'm just moving forward without doing anything to the gimbal, walking very, very casually, and you know, turning around. It's keeping up with the speed. Okay, so that's really good. But let's try if I kind of walk a little bit faster. So if I walk a little bit faster, let's see. If I start running, are you getting any jitters? Because I'm shaking, but is the camera shaking? Thank you, by the way, for everyone who subscribed. I will be having a new G-Ring gimbal coming in as well. So we're going to do the same extensive test and side by side so you can determine which one is right for you. Okay, no sponsor. And there we go. I'm tracking the cameraman, right? And I'm just gonna move around just to see how well this track is. Okay, did you see that? As I go behind a tree, it's gonna lose him a little bit and then pick up on his face. So I'm just gonna run around, see how well this goes. Now there's a bike coming, so I'm just gonna follow the bike, and it's gonna work pretty well. Okay, so that's pretty good. He's walking, and I'm just following him. Now I'm gonna go around. You're still getting a very good shot, right? Still tracking him, very nice. By the way, if you don't know, this is the 2008 Olympic ground. So on my left, on my right are the actual stadium. Now I can zoom in and zoom out while I do this. So that's really cool. Now as I zoom in, I've lost him. See, I've lost him. But if I zoom out, okay, it's not gonna pick up. So let's press active track. All you have to do is press the trigger button and it will go automatically back onto the lock. Now I'll have him walk into a crowd and see how well the track does. Am I gonna lose him? Oh, there we go. Oh, it's picked up again. So there is a possibility that he might lose. Let's try active track in front of some obstacles. Now this will be difficult. It is flashing red, and yeah, you're gonna lose it. So that was a fairly extreme example of active track. Usually you won't be able to track your subject in front of such a complex pattern, but I thought I'd just show you as well its limitations. And over here, I'm just really demonstrating its ability to keep up with my movements. We're now in POV mode. So basically any movement you give, whether that's tilt or rotation, it's gonna follow and try to keep up by keeping the phone balanced. And it does a fairly good job. Sometimes a little bit slow. I think that's where the dead zone comes into play, just to smooth out the transitions. But unfortunately, you can't change the dead zone in the app. Okay, here I'm just tracking a young fella on the skateboard. Now the active track is working really well, but it's only when I start running backwards and tracking him at the same time I'm experiencing some jitters in the camera movement. It looks like the algorithm is much more stable going forward than it is to go backwards. And finally, here is a problem with vortex mode. Be careful when you shoot vortex, especially in a wide angle camera. You are going to see your gimbal arm, and the rotation is only a maximum of 270 degrees, so it's not infinite. So, what do you think? The footage that we shot, overall I think it's fairly stable and fairly capable from a gimbal of this size. Now there are a couple of things that I don't like about this gimbal and I want to share it with you. One is the battery life. Because it's small and it's got an extended pole in between the hand grip, and from my experience I think about 6 hours to 8 hours you're going to get a fairly good usage rate out of this. This is probably one of those things you have to charge every single day or after every single use just to be safe, because during my shoot at night it started dying down. You can see in the videos that I recorded previously I had 5% battery left and then it just went kabooms. The second thing is mobility. A lot of movements are very limited on this gimbal, so it is restricted by the gimbal itself, so certain angles you can't do unless there is another gimbal or a little rotating pivot underneath here, so you can actually turn this, you know, like this. You can bend it forward 90 degrees so your gimbal can face this way, and you can do selfie shots like this. The gimbal itself, it's limited in rotation, but there are manual pivot points you can use in the extension pod if you wanted to. Look, 80% of the moves, you should be fine, okay? It's just certain moves that sometimes you go a little bit over and your phone's gonna start shaking. The third is probably applies to all gimbals these days, is the price. I feel like mobile gimbals these days are getting higher and higher in price. I guess inflation, exchange rate, and whatnot in the last couple of years, but I think it's getting to a point where it's slightly getting a little bit unreasonable. You're paying like $150 for a mobile gimbal, and I feel like, you know, the cost price of producing one of these is very low. Right, so they're coming out every single year, so I don't think you should upgrade every single year because there's definitely no need. I feel like the software or the algorithm in terms of stability is very good in previous generations as well. If you had the Osmo 5 or the Osmo 4, you probably don't need to upgrade. In the secondhand market, you can buy something very cheap. By the way, these things drop in value like crazy because every year there is a new model that comes out. You can grab an Osmo 5 for nearly half the price. Now, that being said, the things I really like this gimbal. Now, first I thought, you know, maybe it's just a mobile gimbal. And I feel like, look, if you're using mobile a lot, this can actually really help with your shooting. If you're doing a lot of vlogs, if you're doing live streaming, I think this is very good. It's very compact, it's easy to fold. The automatically turning on and pairing your phone with the gimbal, that makes life so much easier. Maybe one day they'll have a function similar to the RS3 that just came out with the DJI. With one click, the whole gimbal will unfold and start shooting. But it's going to be expensive, but that is a great feature. But everything else, I think it's great. I don't think you're going to have any regret buying one of these. Now, by the way, I do have the latest During Smooth 5S coming. I think it arrived today, so I will be recording it as of later today, and then I will upload it in the next couple of days by the time you see this video. And then I will be doing a side-by-side in-depth comparison. So if you want to wait a couple of days, hey, hopefully you can wait and won't make the wrong choice. Okay, I'm George. Stay tuned. More gimbals coming your way.